Hello and welcome. It's Wednesday, the 7th of July. It is 11 o'clock here in the UK. Today's podcast on the Christian Hoyle podcast is looking at young people and the mindset of young people. A lot of young people struggle at the early stages of developing what they want to do, where they want to go, the vision of what that is. And then I came across someone recently, got chatting with him, and he told me about how well he's doing, and I thought I'd bring him in. Here he is. This is Dylan Hoyle.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well. I'm very well. Just took a bit of time out of work to come on. What about yourself?
I'm waiting to speak to the main man, Dylan Hoyle, and here he is. How's Manchester?
It's good. It's looking pretty grey and miserable out there today, but that's just Manchester, right?
So Dylan's been a bit unlucky because how long have you got to go? He's off with someone at work tested positive for COVID. Was that there?
No, I'm back in now. I'm back
you're
in
at
now.
work?
Yeah, I'm at work.
Right. You're
I had a PCR on Monday that came back negative. So that was 7 days after I'd last been in contact with him. So yeah, I'm negative now.
Tell him about how unlucky you were when you had to go and work from home, though. What was your unlucky encounter?
Yeah, so obviously I live in a flat in Manchester, it's a nice flat, but it's only one room. I've only got a living room and a kitchen combined. We've got a nice balcony as well, which we've got a bit of a view from. So that's obviously when you're isolated, it's your only bit to go outside. And got back and the door was broke. So I've literally been hanging outside my window for 7 days to get some air.
What you're forgetting to mention then is it was going through a particularly hot period as well at the time. I remember when we rang, and you've got to be honest, it wasn't the best timing to go home in the sun. You're not allowed out for 7 days. Bang, the window door doesn't open.
It wasn't. But we've got to make the most of the situation, haven't we?
So go on, tell everyone what you do, Dill.
So I've worked in recruitment now for, I think it's coming up 2 years in September. And it was funny how I sort of stumbled into it. I wasn't looking to get into recruitment, but you never look to get into anything, and it all just happens, doesn't it? So I work in recruitment, work with big software companies, and basically just recruit their sales teams, to be honest. Building sales teams mainly throughout Europe, looking at sort of Germany, France, UK, and starting to do a bit in the US as well, because obviously that's the sort of the software hub is over in the US. So basically just build sales teams for software companies throughout Europe.
So obviously I know a little bit more about you than I do any other guest that comes on. So when you went for the job, how many went for the, so what was it was quite an interesting how you went for the job and how many went and how you've ended up where you're living now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the story's pretty funny, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I went to Australia for a year, came back to Kendal, worked in a gym, which was good, knew loads of people there. My mum works at the gym as well, so it was a good environment, but I just sort of felt like I needed a little bit more, to be honest. I think Kendal's very, very good, but it's a small place with less opportunity than a big city like Manchester. So I thought, yeah, let's see what's over there. I'd worked obviously did a sales apprenticeship, so I thought, right, well, sales is the way to go down. So I started applying for loads of sales jobs through Indeed, all these applications. And I was actually on my way to an interview in Manchester. I was on the train. I think I was going for a second stage interview on the train. And I get a call off this guy. He's like, "Hi, is that Dylan?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And he's like, "Hi, it's Adam from Strive." And I was like,
Adam. Right.
Adam from Strive. And I'd applied to like 20 jobs. So I went, "I'm going to be honest, Adam, I don't know who you are." I was like, "I've applied for loads of jobs. Like, I don't know who you are." He was like, I had a bit of crack with him on the phone, started speaking to him. And he was like, "Where are you at?" I was like, "I'm on the train to Manchester actually for an interview." He was like, "Do you want to come in and see us?" I was like, "Mate, I've got 20 minutes. Like, I don't really have the time." He was like, "Come and see me for 20 minutes." So I literally ran off the train, get straight to it's a WeWork in Manchester. So get straight to the WeWork in Manchester, met him, and then from that moment, it just became evident. It was like all the things came together of what I was looking for, and it was like fate that I managed to speak to this guy. I got on with him very well, young, successful guy who could take me to where I needed to be. So it was a funny and unexpected thing. But after 20 minutes, they went through the full interview thing, and then ended up having like three or four job offers on the table at the time. But the whole time I knew which one I was going to take from that 20-minute meeting. So it was another evidence of the universe working in the way it should.
What's awesome about that is your dad has never ever got a job in an interview. I was having it where you were going out and getting these jobs. It was quite a bit of a proud moment for me. How many went for your job? How many went for yours?
120, I think.
Right, and two people
Hun-
got it. And you happen to live with
120.
that guy. You happen to live with the
Yeah,
guy who you...
that's an even funnier one. Yeah, we were sat. Funny, there's a guy called Max who's my flatmate now and a good mate, and
Well, I just
we
say it
were.
was Max who broke the door.
Max brought the door, but he's saying he
Yeah.
didn't. So, but
I claimed you
anyways,
did.
we were sat in this WeWork, right, and we were sat. There's like a little communal area at the bottom where you got a ping pong table, you've got a barista, you got a kitchen, you got everything, right. And I was sat on one end, he was sat at the other, and then Adam came down, called both of us, and I looked at him and I thought, all right. And next thing you know, I didn't even know he was starting the same day, and then skip forward. What are we now? Nearly 2 years later, and I live with him. So it's again funny how it all works.
And on a like, so I've got you on, Dill, because you're a young lad performing well, and I want other young people to look at you as a vision of where they can be, and we're going to try and create that journey how they get there. And one of the things you have to suggest is you've got to put yourself around the people that you're going to grow with. And admittedly, that's what you've done in Manchester. At your work crew, you're all you've all got the same vision, and you're all heading the same place, and you're going with each other and taking each other with you. And Max, I've got to say this about Max. Max, is he 30? Oh, he's 30 now, isn't he?
30,
Max
yeah.
is
I like to remind him.
He's a French Brazilian. Is that we're right on that? Yeah, he's French Brazilian.
No, he's Brazilian, French.
He's French.
Grew up in Brazil till he was like 8 or 9. Moved over to Chile, lived in Chile for a few years, then moved over to France, and then he's been about the world ever since.
I love this guy, and I couldn't ask for anyone. For Dylan's going to emulate someone, it's going to be Max, because Max is chilled. He's got this real like coolness about him. He's sort of like everything that I've always hoped I would be, but I've never quite got there. So
it's funny
amazing.
because living with someone who's a different nationality, especially French, because I think French. I didn't realize this until I lived with Max. That French are very, very moral driven. They've got very, very strong morals. Then they've got set way of doing things, and I think English people can sometimes sort of lose track of morals and having defined values of what they live by, whereas Max has got defined values of what he lives by, and he practices them and preaches them. So I think living with him for quite a bit of time has opened mind up to a lot of things as well, to be honest.
And you're working with the European market again. Once again, it's pushing to show the European market as well.
Yeah, I do. I've done quite a lot in Germany over the last 6-12 months, and yeah, German people are on one hand a joy to work with, but on two also not in certain aspects as well. But it's also coming accustomed with the cultures and stuff.
Risk averse, would you say?
That's the biggest. That's the other side. Very, very risk averse.
Yeah. So let me just go back. Tell us about your sporting thing, because obviously tell us about your sporting thing, how it happened and how it changed where you are now. So you had to tell just a little bit, discuss of where you were going with your sport, and then what happened to you, and it's a bit of an evolution of where you came from now.
Yeah, I think it's all an evidence of everything's meant to happen, to be honest, and it all falls into place, because until I was 15, 16, I was only ever going to be a professional cricketer. That was the only thing that was ever on my mind, was that was going to happen. Regardless of what happened, I could mess up at school, I could do something, but I was just going to do that, and I was
you
fixated.
Messed up at school? No, never.
No, but like, and because cricket is not cricket's typically like a private school thing, quite upper class, and when my granddad's like a massive cricket fanatic, and he's like lives, breathes, he'll listen to talk sport all day, listening to the cricket, and
he'll get up during the night to listen to it.
He'll get up at 3 a.m. to listen to the radio. Like, I've never known anyone to do it. And when I was like, I think maybe I was like 9 or 10, he was like, Dylan, I want you to play cricket. And I was like, football. It's all I ever wanted to do. And he took me down to the nets. And I think there was an instant click of it. And obviously I'm 6'5", so tall. And that's like one of the biggest attributes of being a bowler. So started at my local club when I was like 10. Straight away found that I was good at it, and I would say my granddad pushing me the whole time, like taking me to every single game. And then when I'd been playing cricket for maybe a year or so, and then I'd got county trials to go play for Cumbria. Had the trials, got through to the trials. Well, I was going up to Millham, so I was having to travel to Millham like twice a week, which is not the.
Well, everyone was having to travel you to Millham, I seem to remember, yeah.
Yeah, everyone was, and obviously I don't appreciate it as much as I probably should have. It's not the most ideal drive. So did that, got into Cumbria at 11, played county cricket, but at 11 years old, I was playing senior cricket, playing for the men's, playing for under 12s, under 13s, under 14s, under 15s, under 16s. So playing cricket, like sometimes playing twice on a night, playing 2 games on a night. Did cricket, and then when I was, I think maybe 14. I think I was like 14 or 15. I got scouted we were playing against a load of other counties. So we, obviously Cumbria being a minor one, we were playing against some of the bigger counties. You've got the likes of Lancashire, Durham, some of the ones down south. And I was like 14, 15. I played against Durham in a game. And one of the coaches had come up to me after it. He started having a bit, saying something. He's like, oh, we'd like you to come up to do a net session. And obviously at the time, I didn't really think anything of it. I think I was about 14, 15. Anyways, I went up to do a net session in Durham because they were putting a team together. Durham do this thing where they put a team together to go out and play in Dubai. They go play in Dubai, and every year they take the academy team, they go and play in Dubai. And he was like, we're going to run through net sessions to see who can go and do it. So I'd gone to this net session, not even thinking anything of it. And then all of a sudden, it's New Year's Eve, and I'm on the plane to Dubai to go and play cricket, which was absolutely nuts, to be honest. And now looking back, I didn't realise it at the time, but now looking back, how appreciative I am to be given the opportunity to go and represent a county in England, to go and play against the likes of like Sri Lanka and countries like that over in Dubai. So looking back, it's quite a cool experience. So I've started playing for Durham, did everything well there, and then I came back, and I can't remember. I think I'd played a game against Lancashire, and the same thing happened again, where I was speaking to a coach, and he was like, "Dylan, we want you to come down and net over at Lancashire." And I was like, "Right," because I'm from Lancaster. My granddad's obviously big Lancashire fan. He's Lancashire all the way. I went for a few net sessions there, and it just went well. It was just a fit. I knew all the lads previously, and at Cumbria, everyone that I played was at a private school. They were all going to like Sedbergh School.
Everyone.
There was one guy from a state school who eventually moved over to private school. So it was a bit of a different setup there. And I went to Lancashire, and everyone was like me. People from a public school, people who were not just doing private school stuff, and it was a bit of fresh air, to be honest. So got into that, started playing a bit at Lancashire, still playing for my club and things like that. And then they do this thing called the Bunbury Festival down south, which is basically, you get the best players from North England, West England, East England, South England. So 4 teams for national. And they'd select all the best players from all the counties. You'd go to do trials, and then you'd go down south and you'd play. And I did a load of trials, and I'd actually messed up in a load of trials. I think at the time I was well nervous, and I was playing off fear.
Yeah, I remember the nerves. It was a big stepping stone, and nerves were coming into it without a doubt.
Yeah, it was my first thing doing something nationally, so it was like a big thing for me. And I was playing off, rather than relishing it, I've got the opportunity to go and do something internationally. I was playing off fear at the time, which is you don't want to play off fear. If you play off fear, the worst thing's going to happen, because you're fearing the worst is going to happen. Whereas now, if I was doing it now, I'd be manifesting it, thinking this is going to happen. I'm going to smash it, and I'm going to do well. So I'd messed up the first few trials, but I actually knew the coach, and he said, "Dylan, like, I believe in you. I've seen you bowl. I've seen you play cricket. Like, I know you've got more in you than this." So I had a final trial.
Did you find that had a significant role? That someone else giving you belief and coaching you through it? You found that's 100%. Maybe what you're missing at a lesser level.
Because at the time I was 6'5", one of the quickest bowlers. Well, the quickest bowler in the team, and a lot of people knew me because of my height and what I was doing. So some of the kids didn't take a shine to me, because looking back, it's probably an element of jealousy, right? That they've got this guy that's tall in the team, the coaches like him because he's tall, and there was a bit of jealousy there. So I didn't actually click with a lot of guys in the team. I clicked with a load of them, but there was some of them that just took a dislike to me straight away. And then when the coach came to me,
normally happen to you. That's been one of the things you've been eternally blessed by. That wherever we go, people seem to always like you. You've got that skill about you. That's something. That's one thing I'd describe you as. That's what you got.
There is a specific demographic of people though that don't, which is the people that. I think like because I like to put myself out there. I like to if somebody says who wants to do this, I'm going to put my hand up and say I'm going to do it. Some people just don't like that. Some people don't like somebody who can be quite confident and backs himself to do it. So I had the final trial for North England on a Friday, which is like starting to play international cricket on the Thursday, and on the Wednesday I had Cumbria had actually asked me to play a game. I haven't played for Cumbria for ages, and Cumbria were like, "Oh, we're playing an Australian side. Why don't you come down and have a net?" So I'd gone down.
Can I just chuck in this point now, because this is an important part of it? So I ring the guy up and I say, all right, great, he does need a bit of prep, but I'm worried about injuries. He's got this big England thing tomorrow. I don't want him getting injured. And mate boy says to me, he says, no worries about that. We'll be taking it easy. Follow on the story, Dill.
Yeah, and again, I've been football mad my whole time. Like, I actually back then preferred football to cricket, playing it because it was just a lad sport, wasn't it? Football, like cricket was. None of my mates played cricket. Not one single mate played cricket. They all thought I was some posh kid for playing cricket, and I got loads of grief at school.
You did pick up a lot. Like, what I liked about the cricket was the people you were putting yourself around, who were pushing them. It was the right environment. It's almost like your work environment now is where I want you to be, and then I want you to be around the cricket boys, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's good. Playing with older people as well when you're a young kid and speaking playing with older people and seeing what they're doing. It's always good. But anyways, I was in the warm up for this game, right? And I'd been bowling well in the warm up, and I was buzzing for it. I thought, yeah, it's my chance to get some overs in, go and do it tomorrow. And if someone got a football out, and if someone's going to get a football out, I'm going to have a kick about. Like, if someone did it now, I'd have a kick about. And playing, and obviously cricket spikes, you've got like obviously spikes at the bottom of your trainer. And I've gone to touch this ball, and as I've touched it, my spikes have sunken into the ball. And as I've sunken into the ball, I've put my weight on it and rolled my ankle. Next thing you know, my ankle starts getting massive. I'm in loads of pain. And I thought, like, I've sprained my ankle loads of times. Like, I sprain my ankle a couple of times a year. Thought nothing of it. Next thing, my ankle starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So it looks like I've got this like massive football inside my ankle. I thought, I've got my final England trial tomorrow. What do I do now?
When the call came, do you not remember? I got a call, so I've got to come and get you. I turn up there, and the first thing is, oh, your ankle's bad. And then I say, how'd you do it, Dill? And you say, did it playing football warming up? I don't know if you remember. Football warming up. After I've had this discussion, I remember it blew my mind. I couldn't get my head. And you're in there going, Dad, don't say out. Don't say out.
Well, everyone has always told me. I remember I stopped playing football, didn't I, to focus on cricket. Like I'd played junior football the whole time, and at 14 I thought, no, I'm gonna play cricket now. That's it. Like if I'm gonna play professional cricket, I need to focus on that. Everyone's told me not to play football. Don't play football. Don't play football. You've got injured every game growing up, so I knew that it wasn't the thing, and then bang, get injured the day before it. But if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am today. So
exactly. So tell me about though. How did that make you? How did the cricket become the business? Because it swapped over. You're not now being an elite level in cricket, but you do want to be elite level in what you do. And how have you transitioned between the two things? And how has one thing helped the other?
Well, I think with cricket, because I performed at quite a high level, I've always played with the very, 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 very best players. Players that were miles better than me. I always played with them. And when you associate with people that are better, you're not just performing to a standard, you're performing to their standard. So you've instantly got to level up in whatever you're doing, whether it be business, whether it be football, cricket, podcasts, it could be anything. If you're doing with people that are a much better level, you're quickly going to rise to around that level if you've got the potential to do so. But in terms of that injury, like I'd come back from that injury and still had the thing that I was going to play cricket. Like come back from it and thought I'm still going to do cricket. I just left school. I thought, yeah, I'm going to play cricket. But in the meantime, I know everyone's told me not to, but I'm going to do half a season in senior football. I thought I'll just keep fit and I'll do it. My ankle's fine, and that's it. And then did half a season of senior football, went up for a header, came down and snapped my cruciate ligament, and that was the end to that. But then that pushed me to obviously move to Australia, didn't it? As soon as I turned 18, I thought, right, I'm off. I'm going to move to Australia for a year. I had one of my best mates playing football out there, so I thought, perfect. Came back. And because I'd done so much with cricket and performed at quite a high level and wanted to do the best all the time, going back to doing something average, working in a gym, which is not a bad thing, but I knew it wasn't what meant for me, to be
You
honest.
saw
I
it as a
always,
stepping stone, and that's
yeah,
the thing. And this is a bit of a thing with young people struggling at where they're going. Everywhere they go is a stepping stone. It doesn't matter where you start; it's where you're going to. And I think that's important. They take that on board, and you did.
yeah, and I think that I just knew that it wasn't long term, and that's obviously when I got into to wanting to move to Manchester, get applying for all the sales roles. But I think because at cricket I'd always been fixated at being the best. Because you're at Cumbria in a small place, it was easy to shine. Whereas when you go to the bigger counties, you've got to work hard, you've got to work smart, and
Yeah.
it takes a little bit more to shine. But because I had that mindset that I wanted to be number one, I wanted to be the best, and I wanted to keep doing it, I did it throughout. And then when I got to work, I was everyone else in the office is 25, 26, 27. Bosses are 30 something. Nobody else at the minute is below 25. And I was the youngest, but I'm that fixated that age doesn't matter. Like, there's so many companies that are like, oh, he's 21, so he can't do it.
Can I just chuck in? What? How come you've got the beard?
To make me look a bit older at work. Well, the vast majority of people,
things, the little details that you do are part of what overall how you get into where you want to be, and that's what I'm trying to demonstrate to other people.
the vast majority of people I speak to are like 35 going up to 55. So if they see some young kid try to sell them something on the end of a Zoom call or a video call, instantly they're going to think, oh, until I've opened my mouth, they've already prejudged me, which is a big thing. Like, people do it subconsciously. They prejudge people based on the perception of how they look, judging a book by its cover, when we all know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but subconsciously in your mind you already do so. So I thought, even though it's not much of a beard and it's a little bit ginger, I thought
better than what I gave you.
I thought I'll grow a little one. But yeah, going back to it, I think in terms of the work, like, I was just that fixated on, I'm not going to let me being the youngest determine who's the best. And then I just went in and thought, I'm going to do it. And the funny thing was, after 3 months, I rang you up, didn't I? This was the famous phone call. I rang you up after 3 months and I said, Dad, like, I'm out of my depths. Like, I think I've made a mistake. I think I need to leave. And what was your response to that?
Well, it straight away goes to, listen, I've been out of my depth my whole life, and if I left everything I was out of depth of, I wouldn't make it every day. Go through every day. I think that's the thing, and I want to concentrate some people on young people, because everyone feels out of depth, but everyone thinks that other people don't. And they all think that everyone else's got things more going on, where inside we're hiding a lot of different things. And if we're not out of our depth, we're not moving on. And everything, like, you're out your depth again now, aren't you? In the new role, you start a new role, so you'll be out of the depth. So you've had 4 promotions at work.
Yeah, 4 promotions in 2 years. I've been there a year and 9 months now.
Why is your place the place that you've wanted to be at? What is it? I know, but what is it about there? What's it helping you as an individual to grow and move forward? Why there?
Well,
what's going on?
There's 2 things. So that you've got the tech sales market. So I'm a tech sales recruiter for technology firms in the sales department. So you've got the tech sales part and you've got the Strive part. The tech sales thing is, the guys that I'm speaking to earn the most amount of money that salespeople can. They earn minimum 200 grand a year. So as you can imagine, the guys that are earning 200 grand a year, they're not any Tom, Dick, and Harry from the street that's just walking about. These are guys that are at the top of their game and are convincing other people to buy multi-million-pound projects. So the area of that is, I'm communicating with the best salespeople in the industry. So like we said before, when you compete with people at the top of their game, it makes you rise. Therefore, if I'm selling to people that are at the top of their game and in loads of money, really successful, it makes me also be successful as well, because I'm learning from them all the time and I'm communicating with them. So there's that aspect. Performing at the top level from sport, taking that into business. But the other aspect of being at Strive is, number one, the family sort of knit culture. I think if you have a strong culture and enjoy the people you work with, you are going to be more successful than if you work with people that you don't like. It's just obvious, right? But I think we've got a very, very, very high performing culture. So for my job, they interviewed 100 people, someone else's job, 100 people. Every single person in this business has been through a really, really thorough interview process, and they've been drilled out their head by the investor. The guy, he sold his business for 40 million, like, unbelievable guy. He goes to town.
And is this the investor that's putting it in with coaching you?
Yeah. So every single person in that room.
That's
It's
a
a
bit of
big
a
blessing.
blessing, having someone with that
It is.
experience giving you and running it through how that you're going to get there.
But it's also manifesting it because I wanted it to happen. I wanted someone who's done it before and is going to do it again to reach out to me and give me a bit of advice and coaching. So there's that aspect as well. But I'm very blessed to have people like that. But going back to that, every single person in that room deserves to be there.
Yeah.
Therefore, having that
Mm.
culture and a team of high performers is just going to make you even better. And then when you want to be number one in a team of high performers, it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, 12, 13-hour days, and a lot of dedication. So I see other people doing it and think, right, well, I'm going to do it as well. So
Mm.
there's that aspect of it. And we're a very, very goal orientated company, very, very goal orientated. I'm as an individual, like, if I don't set myself a goal, I'm just going to become average and fall off. Like I
Mm.
recognize that at cricket, I recognized it at school. If I didn't
Mm.
have something I was working towards, then I couldn't do it. So I set myself very, very, very unrealistic goals because you want to achieve some unrealistic things. So if you set realistic goals, you're not going to achieve anything unrealistic because you're not manifesting to do it. Whereas
Yeah.
we set some really, really unrealistic targets. Like last year, I think we did a few hundred, maybe 400 grand as a company. This year, we're going to go for 1.5 million. So like you're looking at tripling what we did last
Mm.
year. So that's an
Mm.
aspect of just setting some really unrealistic goals. So I think that sort of makes sense into how I've
You've
sort of took the thing from cricket into business.
What was the recent target at work that you were going for? Your recent success?
Yeah, so we obviously you've got your year split into 4 quarters, right? You've got Q1 January to March, Q2 March to July, and then obviously so on and so forth. So we had a Q2 incentive. So obviously, again, goal orientated company. You want to set goals for people to achieve, so they're more going to work hard to get it. And Q2, I had one of my mates who I used to work with, and he actually went into software sales. So he went into the jobs that we recruit, and his company ran an incentive for a Rolex. So I'm very, very good mates with my bosses. I got onto my bosses. I said, right, well, if Dan's company are doing that, why don't you do it? And they went, quite a good idea. So
Yeah.
so I'd managed to rope them into doing this incentive for a Rolex. So I was like, I had a really, really poor 4 weeks. The first 4 weeks were really poor. I placed maybe 3 people. Every single one of them dropped out for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Germans, risk averse.
So this is
Like,
one of your things in your job, isn't it? So just explain that this is one of your Achilles heels of your job, that constantly is something you have to get over and your mindset has to take on. What is that?
I think if you look at what I do, it sounds arrogant saying it, but I'm changing lives. Like I'm bringing people up to get them to leave their job to go to a different job at a different company, which is like you're not just going to a different shop, you're not going to a different supermarket. You're moving your whole family's like you could be moving your whole family's life, so you're changing job. Therefore, especially in Germany because they're risk averse, it's a lot
Mm.
of stress. And I recruit for startups. I don't recruit for big organizations. Recruit for small businesses that have got a lot of funding and are growing fast. Therefore, there's a lot of risk involved because what if it doesn't work? What if the market
Mm.
isn't receptive to buying that product? What if the market doesn't like the people there? Whatever it could be, there's a lot of risk
Mm.
involved. Therefore, the Achilles heel is I'm placing people into jobs. Germany has a 3 month notice period. UK has 4 weeks. Sometimes they'll just walk you off the sales floor in a day.
Yeah.
Like we've got that really ruthless environment. But Germany have got 3 months. So 3 months is a long time. You can think a lot in 3 months. A lot can happen in 3 months, family-wise, business-wise, home, anything. And there was 3 times in the first 4 weeks of this quarter that 3 people dropped out. I usually have a data-driven approach that 1 in 5 people will drop out. I could play 5 people, one of them is going to drop out. That's my way of getting over the mental toughness aspect of it. That if somebody drops out, I used to be gutted. I used to put my head down, be really negative about it. Can't believe it's happening to me. Why me? Why me? Why me? And then I spoke to the investor, and he said, "I have a data-driven approach. People are going to drop out, but if you calculate for them to drop out, 1 in 5 is going to drop out.
Mm.
Then it's easier to deal with because you know it was going to happen anyways." But I had
What
three
happens
out
when
of
it's 4 in 5 and you're really unlucky?
Well, then I've got a day to be down about it. Then I've given myself then I've got a day to be on my own and be negative about it. But I had 3 and 5 droppers in the 4 weeks. And at the time I was like, oh bloody hell. And then I thought nothing's just going to happen. Like there's not if I don't work hard over the next 2 months, somebody else is going to win that Rolex. I'm going to be gutted. For one, I didn't win the Rolex, but the number one thing was not even about the winning a 9 grand watch. The number one thing was that I'm not going to be the best in the room. there's like, I'm not going to be the top performer in there. If somebody wins that Rolex, it means somebody's performed better than me and they're going to be perceived as better. So it took me after them few droppers. I thought, the universe isn't just going to randomly work for me if I don't manifest it. If I don't put the work in and put the time in to go and dedicate myself to do it, it's just not going to happen. So I thought, right, I'm going to work hard. And that was the start of doing 12-hour days for 8 weeks. A lot of calls, a lot of speaking to people, a lot of manifesting, a lot of speaking, a lot of getting to 11:11 in the morning and closing my eyes and praying that it was going to happen. And then 2 days before the end of the quarter, I'd managed to get a woman to sign a contract and won it by 30 grand. So it was, another aspect of just having a goal to strive towards, to be honest.
You are very goal oriented. I mean, that's one of the things that helps you to succeed. But the other thing is, when we were talking with it, I said, I want you to come on the podcast. Tell me, like, you remember what we were discussing? What you said that on your way to work, what you do? Mention that.
And this is a big thing because of Max. I don't do it because of anyone else. Max he's not religious. He doesn't go to church every day, but he believes in God and he's grown up in a religious family. So he's got religious values, religious beliefs. And he's obviously he grew up in Brazil, so his first language is Portuguese. And his mum's very religious, obviously Portuguese, big sort of Catholics and things like that. And every day on the way to work, Max prays. He prays in Portuguese, so I have no idea what he's saying. But I do a little bit. I do a little bit now, but at the start I had no idea. And I was like, Max, why'd you do it? What? And you're not religious. You don't go to church. Like, why are you doing it? He went, because there's someone out there that makes stuff happen. Like, there is someone out there that is going to make stuff happen. It's not going to happen just randomly. But if you're praying for it to happen, you're putting the energy out there for it to happen, it's going to happen. I thought, I might as well give it a go. and the thing is, going a bit off topic here, but the thing is with Max, is because he grew up in poverty, right? He's grown up in like the favelas in Brazil. He's had it worse and worse. So when I look at my life, thinking, oh, I've had it tough, I haven't, because I've had food on my table every day. I've had clothes on my back. And I've had everything that I need to be in the position where I am today. Whereas Max grew up in the favelas in Brazil, having to travel around from country to country to country, settling, and he had a very, very tough upbringing. But he's still extremely, extremely appreciative as to what he's got.
Yeah.
He's very, very, very grateful for what he's got. And I wasn't. Like, I took for what I had for granted until I lived with someone that didn't. And he had it tougher than me, and he still didn't take it for granted. So he started doing that, and I thought, right, well, I need to start being more grateful, more appreciative for what I've got, because I'm very, very thankful for what I've got. So there's a couple of things that I say in the morning, which is just like words of affirmation, to be honest. Sort of like, it's thanks for the food on my table, thanks for the clothes on my back, thanks for the opportunity that I've been given to go out there and smash my dreams. I want everyone around me to want for nothing. I'm going to overachieve everything I set out to achieve. And then whatever my goal is at that time, whatever my manifestation piece is at that time, I'll add it to the end. So last quarter it was, I'm going to win this Rolex. Every single time I'm going to win this Rolex. Every morning I'm going to win it, I'm going to win it, I'm going to win it. And then lo and behold, it happens. So I have the same set thing and then my manifestation piece at the end. And like, I just did it because I wanted to see if it'd work. And the first time I'd done it, the first 3 months I've done it, it's worked. So I think I'm just going to continue doing it.
So tell them, do you remember the call I bought you the book Ask the Universe about the understanding of manifesting your dreams? And do you remember you read the book and do you remember finding your thing and ringing me? Do you remember you found in your,
yeah.
Tell us about that.
So what's the guy? I can't remember the guy who wrote the book. It's called Just Ask the Universe. Very, very small book. And this is the number one, I'd say, out of everything that's ever happened, that was the number one thing that was a pivotal moment in my life. If I had read it when I was start playing cricket, I'd have been a professional cricketer today.
There's a young girl, she's only 16. She wrote into the group asking about, this is why it was all poignant you coming on. She was asking about, she struggles with a few things, and I'm going to use you as an example, and I'm going to buy her that book. So I'm going to buy, I don't know her, but she's come across the school, I'm going to buy it. So you're going to tell them I'm going to buy it.
Number one book. So I'd read, I think I remember, we were on holiday, I think, 16, 17 I was, when I read this book. And like at that time, you're 16, 17, you're going out, drinking, doing all sorts. And if somebody says, oh, read a book, you're thinking, like, well, I don't need to read a book. Like, what am I reading a book for? Especially something that's got no purpose. So I thought, if he's telling me to do it, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to read it. And that was the number one pivotal moment in my thing. It's all about manifestation, creating the power of the universe, your vibrations, your thoughts, everything means absolutely everything. But at the end of the book, it's only a small book, like 20, 30 pages. It's only small, but has a lot of detail in it. End of the book, it tells you one thing. It says you need to write an I want list. And I do this every single year now. Write an I want list. Put down 10, 15, 20 things of what you want in your life. Not that I could get this or I could get that. I want this or I will get this. It's showing real affirmations that it's going to happen. So I wrote 10 things down and subconsciously practiced the book, but didn't think of it at the extent that I do now in terms of it. And I subconsciously did this book, write my things down, forgot about it, put the list somewhere, I never thought about it. 12 months later, I come across this list. And I'd achieved 10 out of 10 things that I'd set out to achieve. Travel to Australia, get my driving license, do this, do that. I'd achieved every single thing. And it was at that moment that I thought, this stuff actually
is that the
works.
moment you rang me? Do you remember what I said to you?
I don't know what you say.
You rang me and told me about a list, and I just went, right, well, get off the phone. You need to write another one.
So every single, I have now at the start of the year, I had 10 personal things I want to achieve that year and 10 business things. It's going to get probably bigger now that I'm doing more, but that was the original thing, 10 personal, 10 business.
Awesome. So I think you're not the normal 21-year-old. I think we can agree that. But there's a lot of 21-year-olds who are wanting to find your path, and they might actually wait. They might be exactly the same, but they haven't gone into it. Like you told me that if you'd have known your mindset now when you were doing the cricket, you'd have smashed it more, because it all comes to what we're thinking about and how we set ourselves about. What makes you different, and what makes you different to the average 21-year-old who's looking at you and thinking, I'm looking at you, I want to be a bit more like your kind of mindset of what it is. What would you advise? What would be your advice?
I think I can advise a lot of things, but the number one thing for me personally was that I had a coach, a mentor, and someone to inspire me to do it in you. Like if you hadn't have been there to tell me to go and do it and give me the advice to go and do it, I personally wouldn't have even thought or stumbled across it to do it. So the number one thing for me was having someone there who believes in it and can inspire you to do so. So I think the number one thing for people is if you are looking to have that change, if you are looking to really develop yourself personally, professionally, and take that step up, then yeah, you can do it on your own. But if you have someone there who's a bit of a coach, bit of a mentor, someone who's really going to take time to understand you and help you achieve the things you want to achieve, and that's going to put you onto an unbelievable thing. Having someone there as a coach and a mentor, like I do with you, someone else could have a friend that does it, an ex-teacher, a sport coach.
You had the cricket boys. I think some of the cricket things were helping you along that journey, and you've picked up a load now. If you go looking, they're out there. It could be like any of your mates could come to me, couldn't they? Any of them. If any one of them, and I've asked one of them, I've rang up, left a message on his answer machine at the weekend, funnily enough, David. If any of them come to me, I'll help them. So if I'm willing to do that, everyone always sees a blockage. Oh, I haven't got anyone around me. You have.
Once you start looking for it.
Yeah, you just need to start look.
And be receptive to it as well. I think a lot of people, like, I think, especially in a place like Kendal, right? Quite a small town, bit of a small town mentality. When people start doing things that are outside of what everybody else does, people start questioning it. People start thinking, oh, why is he doing that? Haha, that's funny. Let's take the mick out of him, blah, 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 blah. But I think you've just got to really be receptive to change. If you want to achieve some great things in your life, then one, you've got to put yourself out of your comfort zone. And two, you've got to do things that everybody else doesn't. Because if it was easy, then everybody would do it. If it was easy to achieve what you want to achieve, every single person would do it. But you notice they don't. Not everyone achieves the things that they want to achieve. Therefore, you've really got to put yourself out of your comfort zone for one, because you're never going to develop inside your comfort zone. And number two, you've just really got to, one, be receptive to change, but two, just put yourself out of it. Put yourself out there and try and do things.
What about dedication? Because you are working. I do ring you at 6:30 and you're still at work, and you ring me on the way there and you're on the way to work. You know,
if somebody had told me 3 years ago that I'd be sat in an office working 12-hour days, I'd have run off. I'd have put the phone down and run off. But I think once it's not the fact, I don't look at what I do as work. Like I don't. I love what I do. I genuinely do. I love selling to people. I love trying to convince someone to buy something off me. I just love that battle of going forth. And because when I ring someone, the first thing they want to do is tell me to F off. Yeah. They have like 20 calls a day off me.
Tell me that story you gave when we went walking up the mountain. You told me about how one of your successes of how you're turning people on a phone call. So you ring them up, and every one of us wants to get rid of you. You ring me straight away, sales call, want to get rid of you. Do you remember the
So
example you gave me?
I've spent a minute on the phone with this guy, right? And the whole minute I'm trying to convince him to stay on, and he's trying to convince me to get off, right? But he was obviously quite a nice guy because usually they'd straight away hand the phone down. But he's just trying to convince me to get off. I'm trying to convince him to stay on, right? And I'd managed to get 2 minutes into a call with him. So he's invested 120 seconds of his time in a conversation with me who he doesn't know. So I'd got 2 minutes down it. I said, I think he was called Johannes. I said, Johannes, listen, you've invested 2 minutes of your time now. What is the harm in investing another 2 minutes to understand what value I can bring to yourself with this conversation? If after them 2 minutes you want to hand the phone up, no worries, no hard feelings. But just give me those 2 minutes. And he went, right, you've got one. Next thing you know, I'm on the conversation for 15 minutes. At the end, I've sent him over the information and I got him an interview. So it's that was that was just another example of why I love what I do. But going back to it, like, you might people look at me and think, oh, he's working 12 hours a day. He must be sick of what he does. But I'm only in here at 7 at night because I like doing what I'm doing. One, it's the monetary aspect, but two, it's the aspect of building something, trying to
Gets you away
achieve.
from the kitchen as well, from the cupboards.
That's stopped now because of the meal prep. And I've started this week on Monday. I started going to do my cardio before work. Getting up at 6:30 in the gym for 6:45, 20-minute run, come up, shower, and then go do weights after work. That was my new thing.
So what you're saying to me is success is success only comes with what you put in. It's not a gift that's just given to you. It's a process that you go along, and you've got your success is coming through the work you put in. What's
the odds of winning the lottery? What is it? Is it a billion? One in
crazy stat, but
27 million or something like that. So there is 1 in 27 million people that is going to get success chucked to them. It's not even success. People obviously value success as money. So if your success is money, there is 1 out of 27 million people that is going to have it chucked to them. The other 26,999,999 people are going to have to work for it. Therefore, if you don't dedicate yourself to doing it and dedicate yourself to being successful and put the time in, put the work in, put the graft in, nobody's going to hand you something on a plate. I think that's the ultimate thing that people really need to understand, to be honest.
What happens if my thing of success is listening to this podcast and what you come up with and what you say, and makes me feel really proud and glad that you're doing.
Well, you're unbelievably successful, then, aren't you?
Go on. What's your personal goals?
Are we talking personal or professional?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what your goals are. They're yours.
My number one goal at the minute is to bill £1 million in a year. That's like my number one thing that I'm striving towards, because that's when you really perform at the highest level. And I want to do it before I'm 23. So at 22, I want to bill £1 million in a year, which is like completely unheard of. But I want to do it because, one, I want to prove to myself that I can do it, and I want to prove to other people that I can do it. I've got certain monetary goals that I want to hit by 25, 30, 35. My end professional goal is to have an investment portfolio, own some sort of hedge fund, or have a venture capitalist firm, whatever it is. I want to have a certain amount of money under an investment management where that's my goal. I want to, because like a big thing about what I do at the minute is working with venture capitalist firms to recruit for their portfolio. So it's a bit of an inspiration, but you've got the professional aspect. Personal aspect, I want to do a lot of traveling. I think when I went to Oz, because you're growing up in Kendal, a small town in England, there's a certain demographic of people.
I don't want you slagging our town off in England.
I love it.
I just want you to put forward. You absolutely love coming here. Professionally, you're not going to get you on, but you love it that much. I love it.
I love it. But if you look at it, there's a there's a large ethnic group. It's a white town. You've not got many other
town.
Monoculture. You've not got many other cultures. Therefore, when I went to Oz, living with Australians, Germans, French, Spanish, American, every single thing, learning different cultures, learning other people's way of thinking, learning how other people do stuff, it really, really opened up sort of my eyes and my mentality. Therefore, I want to travel to a lot of other places and experience the cultures. Living with a guy that speaks 4 languages and is from every country under the sun. Yeah, he has so many things that he can bring to the table that I can't. So I want that bit of something, a bit of international experience. One of my goals: travel to a certain amount of countries. Another one I'd like to do a triathlon. I was training to do a triathlon, wasn't I, at the August last
Yeah.
year, and then work has sort of fallen into priority at the minute, and fat has started coming on, and takeaways started getting eaten a lot. But I made a stop to that this week on Monday, so let's keep to that. So the personal
So
goal
yeah,
is
I like that. That's where we're going. You made a stop to it. You're very good at deciding you're going to change something. So yeah, all right. You do every so often. You get the food thing. You miss your exercise, but you make a stop and you make a change, and it starts again. And you do that, and that's one of the advice you've got to
I
give to
just
the
feel
people.
guilty if I don't do it. I just feel guilty. Like if I eat bad, I could eat bad 5 days in a row. Every single one of them 5 days, I feel guilty for doing it. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think that's one of your strengths. And if younger people are looking at where what they're gonna get from this, it's you have to put in to get out, and you're putting in, but it's not about just putting in your work. It's the stuff outside your work to make sure you're at your best. And that's when you told me the affirmations you're making in the morning, the fact that you're writing list of achievements. In order to succeed, we must have a pathway that we're going towards. Else, where are we going? We're not just like going in between places. We've got to have something we're heading for. It will change all the time, but in a growth way. And that's a non-stop thing with you. I mean, I'll talk about my success. I want you to do all this so I can be taken for free on all these holidays.
It will happen at some point. It will.
No, I've got one of them little things that I mark off on the end of my bed. Another day, another day.
2 years until I can go. Yeah.
Well, mate, we're getting to an end. It's been awesome. I'm going to try. I think that young people, and I think more, because I can only have my journey that I've had with you, and I know that you know I've helped you and you've helped me. What someone just put: transmuting guilt into positive action. How does he do that? How do you do that?
I don't know. I think
Good question.
If I feel guilty,
Tom's appeared a few times. Tom's over in America.
Right, Tom.
Tom is a dude. I watched one of his videos. He hasn't got loads, but he's got the best voiceover voice ever. He sounds like he's a professional voiceover artist when I've listened to him on his video.
Should get on radio.
Transmuting guilt into positive actions. How do you do that?
If I feel bad about something, I can't even give you an answer to it, Tom, to be honest, because I think it's definitely down to personal preference. But if I feel bad about something, I'm thinking about it forever. If I've made a bad move at work or a bad move in my personal life, I can't get it off my mind until I've sorted it. I can't just put it to the back. If I feel bad about something, I feel guilty about something, I can't stop thinking about it until I've made something to make it better. So if I've eaten a takeaway Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm not going to feel better until I've eaten healthy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But it's also keeping yourself accountable as well, so to speak.
Yeah, accountability. Yeah. What have I taught you when things are going wrong?
Getting the thought out of your head and just getting rid of it. Like you can choose to be unhappy. Like unhappy it's not a thing that it doesn't. You're not forced to be unhappy, are you? Something really really bad could happen, but you choose to beat yourself up about it. You choose to be unhappy about it. So I think whenever there is something like if I have something bad that happens, instantly I'm going to lose my head because it's something I'm getting better at, but I'm still nowhere near where I need to be.
Yeah,
so
everyone in the whole world.
So when something bad happens, I instantly feel bad about it, but I take myself away. So my thing is, I go on my own, give myself if it's that bad, I'll give myself the rest of the night. But I won't wake up tomorrow and I won't be in the same mindset that I was. So it's really getting the thought and just getting it away. I think that's the number one thing, because unhappiness it's a choice. It's not something that's forced upon you.
Well, one of the things I've just given you, then we don't allow it to run into 2 days, do we? So
No,
we're allowed
not
a day. We're allowed the day, and I'll say you'll ring me, and I'll go, all right, this is your day. But as soon as we get to the morning, we have to start again, action packed to get back there. Because if we go into day 2, day 3, next minute we're on a bloody, instead of having our growth mindset going in the right direction, we're heading in one direction. That's down. And I think that it's hard to do it at the time, but you've got to change everything. Whatever you were doing that led in that day before, you've got to change it. You're like becoming awesome at it all, Dill. You know, we're all on a journey, but I'm miles better.
A lot left to go. A lot left to go.
Yeah, and so have I. And I don't know if you ever actually get there. I don't know. I want to be that older guy.
I don't think you can ever get that. You can never, ever, ever, ever get. There's not somewhere to get to. But as long as you get 1%, this is something that my boss said. You get 1% better at something every single day. You've had a successful day.
Awesome. Right, son. Love you. And I think that people who are watching this get to see a little tiny bit of the touch that you put into yourself. And I think that they're going to be really, really impressed. Thanks a lot for coming on. And I'll speak to you.
Worries,
So I'll just
mate.
turn this off now, but thanks. See you, Dale.
Cheers, everyone.